Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We got an unbelievable show for you this morning. Good morning, Detroit. I'm Harvey. Free to the right of me, Harry Glanz.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harvey. And listen, summer continues. We got another couple days of summer. I'm loving this weather, and we're loving what's going on in the market because the market's still hot, like the weather. We've got two great ladies in here. We're going to talk about everything happening in the market today. Good morning, everybody.
Of course, the one and only Becky Ellie over here to my left. Hey, Becky, good morning. What's happening?
Good morning, everybody, and anyone that's listening. Harry is right. The market is hot, like these temperatures. My pool is still open, and we're going to be dipping and diving in that thing a little bit later on today, for sure.
I like that, Becky, because today's definitely a boat day. We'll get out there on the water, so we'll talk about that. Renee Jadan joins us from EXP, Mark Z's office. Hey, Renee, good morning.
Good morning.
You brought great energy into it.
Yeah, she's
a smile,
great.
And you're beautiful, and we appreciate that. And you're a great real estate agent. You guys were all at this thing yesterday, or it was Thursday, this event called Oktoberfest. It was put on by some real estate agents and loan officers. Just go into that a little bit because the audience doesn't know what we all do behind the scenes.
Okay, yeah. So, like, obviously, you hear us every Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel, talking about what's going on in the market. But, you can be out of practice in business. So we can sit here and give you this advice, and it's all for nothing if we're not literally boots on the ground, practicing it, doing it every single day. So Renee and I were on the stage together. We didn't actually compete against each other, but there was brackets where it was real estate agents versus real estate agents, lenders versus lenders. And they're from all over Michigan, actually. And it was live objection handling. So it was, a question would be asked and we had to literally answer right on the spot. One of the questions I got was about tax returns, for example. And I want to buy this property, but I'm not sure what I can afford because I'm self-employed. And I literally had to answer that question right off the rip. And, Renee had her own set of questions. And at the end, it was one lender and one real estate agent.
Left standing type of thing.
Right.
Okay.
And so in that moment, it's not so much skill-based. It was more like dog pony show, who packed the room a little bit more, but it keeps you on your toes, like you're saying, or like Renee, we were talking before the show. So I want Renee's take on it and it's also nice just to be in the room and see everybody.
Absolutely. That was such a fun experience, by the way. I got to tell you guys, being up there, when you think about, a lot of people are coming up to me and asking me like, what does this do for your business? Why are you doing this? Well, the biggest thing is really, if you think about it, it allows us to stay fresh in the business. It allows us to really work under pressure. And that happens to us every single day. So think about it. When we're going to these listing appointments or a buyer's asking us a question, they're looking for the most confident realtor you can think of. So when somebody throws out an objection at you, you got to be ready. And that's what's going to separate you from the rest.
Well, it's really sharpening your skills, right, on what you do every day. It's not unlike going to practice every day and doing your blocking and tackling drills or whatever. You have to sharpen your skills in business. And if you're not sharpening your skills, somebody else is. So you want to go out, and when you make presentations, and that's what we do, that's what you do, you're in front of people and you have to be sharp. You're not going to, if I'm interviewing somebody, I'm not going to pick somebody who's not sharp. So why don't more people practice their craft? I can't answer that question. I know that when we're in front of people, I will take 4 or 5 of my top people on the road. We'll do a road show. And
I do like a good road show, that.
Well, yeah, we love it. We do well on the road. In order to win championships, you have to win on the road.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Look at the Tigers this past week. They had to win 2 games on the road to advance.
Absolutely.
Anybody can win at home when you're sitting in your living room.
I'll say this though too. Like there was a huge difference though between the ones that are scripted and the ones that really give true, genuine, I'm standing there answering as my authentic self. And I will say, of the pack, you're one of the most authentic. Every delivery was authentic. It was you presenting. It wasn't some random script that you memorized with you're winning in the end. It was you literally could see your mind pivoting around what was asked of you. And we had to answer like 2 or 3 questions. But iron sharpens iron. But when you're around the best of the best, it makes you be better. And that's why there was no one else that was going to be on this show with us this week other than Renee, because she's not selling, she's helping. And you can see that genuinely from your aura and all the things that you do out here.
I appreciate that. It's funny. Many people may go in with a script and they'll practice those scripts and then they go in as a cookie cutter approach. I find it where listening is super important and empathizing with the individual. So I go in from a more sentimental way. Have I experienced this before? And when I can do that, I know that I can build the trust of the other end. So it's funny because every scenario that was asked of me at the Oktoberfest was literally an experience that I've had. And it's been so fun because when something like that gets thrown at me, I'm like, oh, I've done this before. I've got this.
Renee, this industry is so emotionally impactful. It just your emotions, the buyers, the sellers, the agents. And you've got to be able to think on your feet. And you also have to be that person who can control families' emotions when they're selling their home specifically.
Right. And it's funny. One of the scenarios was, hey, my kids have to finish school and I don't want to sell, but we're only a few months away. I really want them to write out the school year. Well, it's funny. I've got 2 kids. Friends are important. School year is great. Sports are super important. Heck yeah, we're not going to get you out of this house until then. But we're going to make sure we're going to keep you safe. We're not going to make you homeless. We're going to get you in that home. So when people do work with me, I want them to feel very comfortable. And I want that authentic because, the other thing is people understand because they have bullshit meters. Ooh. And literally,
Can we say that?
Not sure if I'm allowed. Was that illegal? Sorry.
This isn't a podcast. So let me just remind you, it's not a podcast.
So those meters stand up. I know when I go out and somebody tries to do that to me.
Well, you could tell when people are authentic or they're fake. I mean,
totally.
Listen, been around the block a few times. You know when somebody's putting something on and they're trying too hard.
Right.
You know that if it comes off naturally, you could really sniff that out. At least, we all can. You have to be able to.
Right. But it's also like listening to what people don't say. And even on the home ownership tip of it, a lot of people come to us and they don't think they can qualify. And they will say like a million things of why they're not submitting their documents. But you made that phone call initially. So there's something there. There's a reason why you called. And then there's also a reason why your phone's ringing after you called me. And that person that's calling you now because I pulled your credit, it's not a coincidence. I get that the universe sometimes will bend at your will, but that random person that's calling you after I pulled your credit, that's not a coincidence. That's predatory. And there's a reason why there's legislation against that. But, when someone makes that call to us initially, we're there to guide you. We're there to help you. And it's your timeline, not ours. So whether it's 5 minutes or 5 months or 5 years from now, you need a clear, concise plan on how you're going to get from A to Z and be confident about it. And we're okay with it if you're not ready for it right now, but at least have your eyes open when you're walking down the road.
Becky, not everything when you talk to somebody, Renee, and they're asking you questions, not everything is a yes, no problem, yes, no problem, yes, no problem. People need to hear the real deal.
100%.
Okay, they need to hear, listen, I might be able to do this, but it could take a little bit of time. Your house needs a fresh coat of paint. You need to change out the carpeting. Listen, I want to list your house, but really, it needs a little bit of TLC. I wouldn't list it right this second because you won't get highest and best.
I agree.
So, you have to be able to be objective with people, and people need to hear the truth.
The truth is the most important thing. And I have to tell you, when we first started in business, of course, new agents are like, I'm going to list everything and anything. But at the end of the day, they also need to celebrate their successes because the successes are what's going to allow people that are related to you, your friends and family, to trust you because no one's going to trust you unless you have a proven track record with strangers. Mm-hmm. So success is super important. So what I would say is I'm at the point today, which is a blessing, where I'm not going to take everything and anything if people don't want to work with me, and that's okay.
Amen.
But the first thing I'm going to say to them is, hey, there's, a couple different things we can do. Either I'm going to take your listing or I'm not going to take your listing. And the reason why is because if we can't see eye to eye or have a good relationship from the beginning, can you imagine what's going to happen down the road? Right. And this is going to be a total disaster, and I'm going to fail for you.
If it's hard going in, you know what it's going to be like.
Totally.
So one of my favorite sayings is, some of the best transactions you do are the ones you never do.
Oh. I thought you were going to say, I hate you for closing my mouth.
Okay.
That's great. I have to use that
one. Some of the best transactions you do are the ones you never do. And there's always the I hate you for closing my loan syndrome. I hate you, Renee. You did everything you could. You did everything. You moved mountains for me. But you know what? I don't like you anymore, so I'm never going to use you anymore. Who wants that?
Nobody.
It happens in society.
Nobody
we say
wants
that.
Yeah, it's a common theme, too. Once you say that, all the great agents that come in here, they always say that. It's the transaction. They do this my way. We've got proven success here, and you're showing your family, your friends, your new buyers and sellers. This is a path to success here. Sure enough, on garbage day yesterday, we're bringing in the garbage cans. My neighbor, who's a real estate agent, she's going to have to delist a property. They didn't take her advice. And this is really what we're saying here. And as simple as the garage is a complete mess. They didn't change the flooring. They didn't put a fresh coat of paint. None of the advice. And sure enough, 2 months on the market, lots of showings, no offers, overpriced home. Now what? Now we got to. They have to start all over.
Right.
And it's such a shame too, because the advice just wasn't taken. You got to respect the people that are bringing you some good information.
Absolutely. And it does start with hiring the person, right? So when you decided you were going to hire that individual, there should have been a spark about the reason why you decided to choose that person. So if you are ultimately respecting that individual, you're respecting all of their advice, their professional opinions that go along with it. Yeah, we're not absolutely perfect, but if that person has all the accolades, the proven track record of where they've gotten, then they've got to know what they're doing. And in that specific scenario, Harvey, I think that it's really important to understand that when you have a customized approach to how you're going to walk into that scenario and be able to share with them, sure, everything can sell for the right price. You know, there's 3 different pricing strategies. We can price this bad boy high, we can price this boy at a fair market value, or we can go ahead and price this, under market value. And like I say, anything can sell as long as people see the value in it. And if we've done everything we can, and I always say there are 3 different reasons why a house doesn't sell. It's either price, marketing, or condition. And if we know that this house looks great and we're in a good condition, we know that the marketing is like top notch. You are on every website. You are, we've got the social media going. We've got the videos going. We've got socialization going everywhere. But all of a sudden this house still isn't selling. We've got a price problem. And the price problem at the end of the day is something we've got to own as a seller.
And Renee, it's really market driven, right? If the market's hot and a house isn't selling and it's got the 2 out of the 3 that you have, it's got to be priced, right?
It's got to be priced.
It's got to be priced.
Because at the end of the day, there are people that are always buying. There are people relocating. There are people unfortunately dying. There are people divorcing. There are separations going on, people starting their lives, right? There is an audience out there that is buying.
Yeah.
And they are going to buy something, but they have to walk in and say, do I see value in this? And can I afford this? At the end, when we can, then that always works.
Already we're up against our first break.
Perfect.
You've got great delivery. Lots of great information here. 8:13 if you just joined us, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate.
She's done this
Show.
a few times.
I think she has.
I mean, come on now.
We'll take all your calls this morning. Buying and selling real estate, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, 8:15. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. That's where you can reach us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We are powered by CMG Home Loans at MLS 1820, equal housing lender. The key here is we take your calls all morning long, 248-539-9797. Renee Jadan joins us from Mark Z Realty. And then the standard cast here, myself, Harvey Freed, Harry Glanz, and the Queen, Becky Alley. Lots to share with you. Tons of information. By the way, Harry, there's a little government shutdown that could creep into our mortgage world and might cause some delays. These government shutdown things have always been solved in a couple days. Yeah. This time it's a little scarier because I got some government loans closing soon.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier in the week. There's certain services that we have to utilize when we do loans, verifying tax transcripts. One of them, other ones, FHA, VA loans, certain services that they provide. It's going to be, it might go ahead and delay certain things, but in the big picture, we're talking about one or two things, and that's really it. And we have things in place that we can go ahead and we can extend it and go on out with it. But I don't see this shutdown. I'm not, a prognosticator. I don't predict the weather. I just hope the weather stays like this for the rest of the year.
This sunrise was beautiful on my way in. I can't say that.
But the government shutdown, if it goes another week, okay. But it should not go ahead and delay our situation much longer. We'll see. It's always a question mark. But 4506T transcripts, everybody out there, when we go ahead and we re-verify the tax returns you've given us, we have to go ahead and make sure that those are legit. And we do that. We do certain things on FHA loans, on VA loans. And like Becky said, anything that we have to deal with the government with, it could cause a little bit of delay, but we really have a workaround for that. But if you're a lender, and I know everybody out there, if your lender calls you up and says, hey, we have a delay because of this, that could be a legitimate reason.
And to that point, I don't care who you're working with. Obviously, we've all been around for a minute in here. And even when you go back to 2020 when everything was shut down, there's ways around it. But you have to just understand that we're all in the same boat, sitting on the same side, rolling in the same direction. Everybody wants a transaction to close. So if we have to say, hey, the transcripts didn't come back from the IRS because everyone knows what's happening in the world. Yeah. You have to just understand that, and there has to be a certain level of professionalism that is greeted there with some patience, because everyone wants to close their loan in 5 days, and that's where it's like a difference of like the want and the need. Like, I need to close this loan versus I want to close this loan, and we obviously always want to, almost always, if not each time, we want to get you there as quickly as possible.
So, Becky, I'm going to get the hate mail right now.
But there's twirly things that happen behind the scenes that no one can control.
I'm going to get the hate mail, but we have Renee here, so I'm going to put her on the spot. So
she can handle it.
I'm good. You ready, Renee? Here we go. So you didn't get this one yesterday. Okay. So the loan's supposed to close on Monday, right? The loan's supposed to close on Monday. But on Friday, we call you and we say, Renee, can't close it on Monday. We need till Tuesday. Why does everybody's head blow up and say, oh, you said it was going to be Monday, but now we're closing Tuesday? What's the difference if the loan closes on Monday or Tuesday?
I think a Friday before the holidays really what makes people's face melt off. But
right. And we just came off a holiday weekend, and we put, what's the difference if the loan closed? Oh, Harry, that's unbelievable. That's a cardinal sin. I'm never going to use you again if you can't close it on Monday, but it is closing on Tuesday, right?
Yeah. So,
what is that?
I got to tell you, I can't explain why that happens, but I can explain what my reaction would be to that situation. Okay, yes. So I got to tell you, for me, it's all about communication. I don't really give a shit. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Did I do it again?
That's an 8-second delay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's got us. We're okay.
It's not a podcast. It's okay.
I'm sorry. I tried to be real. I'm just a straight shooter over here. Okay, I don't really care if it closes to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We just need communication. If that's if we don't know why something is closing and we're just communicating what the situation is because of something that's uncontrollable, that's where you build a trust. But it's not about what happens on Friday. It's what's been happening from the beginning of that loan all the way to Friday. Mm-hmm. If I don't hear from that loan officer and I've been sending emails or maybe even just trying to get a hold of that individual, I already can tell right there that that's not a pretty good experience with that mortgage.
I'm giving you my card. Does that happen? I'm sorry. Becky's your girl, but that's okay.
Becky's my girl. This doesn't happen, right? This doesn't happen, but that's what separates the good, better people from the people that are don't know. Either people don't know or don't care.
Yeah, we do understand that. But, the excuses get a little thin when every realtor tells us, and again, I'm going to get the hate mail, or call in the show and hate me. I'm fine with it. The moving trucks are in the driveway. They're staying at the hotel. They're being transferred from out of town.
Yeah.
Oh, Harry, the seller's going out of town, or this one's on vacation, or, listen, there's no difference, everybody. And again, hate me. No difference if it closes on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so what Harry's ultimately describing is that pressure that gets put on the lender and the title company at the very end. So we can be verbal and say, we are not clear to close yet. I'm expecting it, but we're not there yet. And they're like, well, we want to close on Friday. That's great. I'm still not clear to close. I'm going to say that emphatically, but then people will still go on and schedule the closing and put us. And then all of a sudden, it's not just the lender that's in this pressure cooker. It's now the title company. So even when I'm saying verbally out loud,
right,
we're not clear to close yet. And it's Wednesday, you want to close Friday, and we're going to do everything we can to get there. Now we get it clear to close on Thursday. Now we're jamming this in to make sure that because someone scheduled it. And now the title company has to hurry up and jam out numbers. And so it's like this. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So when we're verbally overly communicative that we're not clear to close yet and you still schedule it, that's when it creates that
I just had that happen to me the other day.
And Renee, let me ask you this. What's worse?
Yeah.
Us telling you, there's the yeah guy. Yeah, we're good. We're going to close you on Monday.
You're always going to get my best effort.
Right.
Always.
Yeah. We'll definitely make it happen for Monday. But then it closes on Tuesday, or we tell you up front it's not going Monday. We're going to close it on Tuesday. The yeah guy's the worst guy.
The
around.
yeah is the worst guy.
The worst guy around.
I
Isn't
actually
that
agree.
a Beatles song?
Not always a good feeling, but I think you made a good point. I think you talked about all the different scenarios that are going on behind the scenes. That as a realtor, how do we handle that? We've got to be the best problem solvers, right? So we've got to know that we have to be adaptable. We've got to be flexible, and stuff happens. And when that does happen, you've got to figure out a solution. Hey, maybe I step in. I personally call the moving company and say, let's move it. Maybe we ask the people on the other end, whether it's the buyer or the seller, are you going to help pay for something like this? If there's impacts on the other end, this is what's so unique and cool about the real estate world is that everything is negotiable, but it is also emotional. But we have to make sure that we let them know that we've got to just remove those emotions. Let's try to fix this. And we're going to try to meet ends on both sides.
Perfect.
And nothing's going to be perfect. And it isn't. But, to your point, Becky, that one scenario of the domino effect. I just had this happen to me the other day. We had to shove this closing in at and this particular person used their own loan officer. And it was a yeah, and then it was all the way.
No.
No. But then we went ahead and had to put it onto the calendar, and it was on the calendar. And then what ends up happening? These people have to show up. They go to wire their phones. All of a sudden, the wire never exists. So something goes wrong. Now they're showing up at closing. The individual that was selling the home, I represented the buyers. That individual had to close on his next home with those funds. So it now creates this poor service. So when I contacted the client yesterday and I said, how did you feel that the experience went? And she said, Renee, I think everything went great on your end, but I'm annoyed because I didn't get an email from that specific title company until late at night. And so again, it's that service that just starts getting even worse and worse. But, we have to be the face of all of this.
Yeah.
And we have to just hold it all together and say to people that not everything is perfect, but we're going to make it work. And when you do, usually people don't care. But when we start getting anxious, they get anxious.
And that is why you're the top in the industry. You're one of the leaders among the leaders as far even just from that service, because you just made the temperature change in the room, even with that response. It's clear, it's concise, it's eloquent, it's truthful, it's authentic, it's real.
Thank you.
Because we do have to keep the tone of the, everyone is emotional, but if you show that emotion, it's going to make them get more irritable. And the truth is that life is not perfect. Yeah. And we can try to be perfect, but all we can do is just adjust and pivot around what we have in front of us and adjust to it, because we're always going to try to get, like I said, you're going to get my best efforts.
Well, these are the one-offs, aren't they, Becky?
Yeah.
They're really the one-offs.
They are, but what she's saying, it does happen. But when you're saying, I'm not ready yet, this happened, and you're overly communicative. But the thing is that what you're describing is someone that was not clear with what was happening. Yeah. And you just have to, here we are, we're just doing it. But it is, and then it creates an issue with the title company. So, and I actually stand in front of the title company sometimes and I'll say, like, look, we can do this.
Yeah.
But someone is going to be getting their numbers as they're driving to get to the bank to go right to the title company. And then that creates a disservice for that person because that's not how we want their experience to be.
Some people are good with that. Other people want their numbers a day or two in advance. You know, it just depends on the client and who you're working with.
Yeah.
And listen, all good loans close. You guys hate that, don't you, Becky and Harvey?
No, I don't mind it. It's true. I don't mind that at
all good. I've never had a good loan not close.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, you said something that just made me think of something. You know, reading the room is super important, right? So we have to have that ability. So like you said, the guy or the girl that wants the numbers 2 days in advance. You know, it's respectful to do that, and maybe they need it a week in advance, but do we have the ability as realtors to understand your client and know how they work? Because if you're giving it to them at 4:00 the day before, was that really great service to your client? Maybe the one that's in a hurry or is taking a flight out and can't, and they're like, just give it to me later.
Some people love it.
Yeah, you've got to be able to like read the room and understand how your client really works. And that is another talent that you just have to have, that you have to pick up and just be able to mirror and match them.
Well, even like our engineer clients, like I have a lot of clients that are engineers. I love them very much, but I know they're going to have a spreadsheet for my spreadsheet. And I understand that because that's how their brain works. And I appreciate that about them.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. That's right. Mortgage rates gained a few basis points. That doesn't sell newspapers, but the good news is the rates have dropped. The buyers are out there. We've got tons of great information. If you're thinking about buying or selling your home, give us a call. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Good morning again. 8:30 now if you're just getting up. The sun is shining. Unbelievable weather. We got Tiger baseball coming up tonight. There's a lot of college football. We got Michigan, Michigan State. They're all going at it. Michigan State's got a tough one here down in Nebraska. That's going to be a cool game.
That'll be a great game, Harv. What do you want me to say on that? I'm saying nothing
don't say
controversial
anything.
about Michigan State.
Great. And a little Detroit Lions tomorrow. Renee Jadan joins us, of course, here, and keeping Paul on his toes, that's for sure. I was officiating a football game. I thought I heard some foul language yesterday on the football field. Renee will keep you on your toes.
Renee's on fire.
Renee, because it's emotional.
Our producer's so good. He's so good.
Your passion comes through. These are the top agents you want to work with. Basically, all the agents I work with are the top 10%. It's always the communication, the professionalism, the truth. And you guys all have the same theme. And what you say is this: if you don't want to work with me, that's okay. But if you don't do it this way, you won't have the results you're looking for. And that's the difference between someone who lowballs you as a listing agent and walks in your house, has nothing good to say other than they're going to drop their commission, and they bring no value. So important. Let's just talk about the value you bring to somebody and the experiences that you'll run into. A little bit about the marketplace right now, the inventory. Why should we be hiring someone who's very qualified in today's market?
Absolutely. There's a lot of different things. So every single individual has a different need and want. And I consider myself to be a problem solver. And I love when people throw scenarios at me and where they're at in their life. And when I get the most motivated buyers or sellers, a lot of times those are the strongest scenarios that we're like, okay, great, this is an awesome challenge. And the reason why I want people to work with me is because I'm relatable. I can understand where they're coming from. I'm very goal oriented, where at the end of the day, I'm going to see where we're at on the finish line. So we're going to future pace and we're going to figure out exactly where we need to be. We're going to outline all the steps that we're going to take to get there. And we're going to celebrate that success when we do get there. And I do consider myself having a very strong communication style. So I consider myself more of a business partner to my clients. I'm not, people probably think like they want to hire a person who they want to tell them what to do. And that's okay. I can work that way. However, if I'm now hiring or somebody's hiring me and that person is literally micromanaging me every step of the way, I don't think I'm going to be able to work my authentic self and be able to reach the results that I want, because either I'm going to be walking on eggshells or I'm going to have to walk the way they want to. And I can't succeed the results that way when I see something might be different. And I'm not afraid to share that. So
if somebody doesn't let you do your job the way you know how to do it,
right,
I won't take the client.
Yeah, I got to tell you, like, do you ever go to the doctor and tell the doctor how to operate you?
Absolutely.
Do you ever go to a lawyer's office and tell the lawyer?
It should be a millisecond above that.
No. And that's where, if you're out there hiring the best agent and you're looking for people with great qualification skills and you're doing your research, and that's where people are going online and figuring it all out.
Oh, yeah.
I want my professionals that I do business with telling me what to do so I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Okay? I mean, think about that. You go somewhere, whether, I don't care if it's a retail store or wherever you go, a car dealer, like Becky said, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. I want them telling me what they're going to do so I don't have to worry about it. Take the burden off of me.
Right. And when you think about this, when you look for high quality service, do you really care what you pay as long as you feel good about it?
I wish I would have said that in our Wednesday meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's the thing. It's about the experience.
Yeah.
So like for me, I'd rather pay more money and know that somebody's handled this in the best way possible. And I'm not trying to say I'm not in the business of ripping anybody off. We're here to get value and we're here to give the value. And to answer your question, Harvey, like, what do people want? Why should they hire me? Is because you're going to get the real deal. You're going to get proven results. I'm not quitting until this bad boy is sold. I'm not quitting until we buy this home. And the challenge, the bigger the challenge, the more excited I get. We're like, oh, let's get this.
Yeah. Renee, I swear I think you just took the words right out of my mouth, because that's kind of response people get from me. Because why would you work with a stranger when you can work with me? I'm going to treat you like family. We're going to get to the end. We're going to get to the end, but it's like, we know how to use our legs to push through that sometimes. But you have to be able to be your authentic self, like you said. You're hiring the professional for a reason. And yes, is everyone walking around with PhDs in their pocket and chat GPTing everything and whatever else? But like, you can't chat PT an authentic person, right? And we talk about AI. AI, yes, it's helpful, but it's never going to replace the true, authentic person that's standing right in front of you, that has the track record, that knows how to do the things. And I want to stay in something real quick, too, because like market specific, right? So we're talking about people hiring you. There's we're in the most buyer-seller market that we've seen in a minute, right? And there's, so when I say that there's a lot of inventory, technically on paper, it's a seller's market.
A lot of activity, though.
But there's a lot of activity, but houses are sitting 30 days. And you're coming from a lot of agents that got into the market where they didn't have to do anything. They just showed up. Houses were selling for over in a week. And they're like, look what I did, right? But this is a skilled-based market right now where you're really going to see where the professionals and the pretenders, stand out. So when someone's saying to you, well, my house is still on the market, it's been 20 days, right? That goes back to that same dialogue that you were talking right before the break, right?
Yeah. And I love where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So there's a couple different things I can probably say about that. You're right. Those people were celebrating successes of things that the market was just doing for you.
Yes.
But then when the market started balancing and cooling off, it's like, where are those people now? Well, there's thousands of real estate agents that are no longer realtors anymore. And guess who the people are that are still standing are the ones that had the strategies, that had the personality, that had the care. And it's funny because I just had a recent scenario not long ago where I had to part ways with a seller. And I parted ways with a seller, and I don't do this every day, so I don't want anybody on this call thinking, or that I do this. But it was to a point where we did everything to prep for the home, told her what she needed to do. We cleared out the house, called the junk company, threw everything into the junk truck. And we get to the point where we're here and she's like, no, I want all these specific things to be here. And this is what I did in my up north house. I left all of this there. So it worked there and it's going to have to work here. And I said, we could do whatever you want to do, but you want to maximize, we've got to do things a little bit differently. And we actually decided that the way that this was going, I just said to her, I've got to be honest with you. The way that we've been working together hasn't felt really right. So I think you're going to probably be better off with somebody else. And she was like devastated, wanted to pull me back. And I said, I just don't think it's going to be a good match. However, she then asked me to come back and to be able to take her on again. And,
there you go.
There we go. You win them back. But
yeah.
Here's the thing though. The way that it is today is you've got to have strategy. You've got to be able to really customize your approach to that individual, help them get to that finish line. It's not very easy peasy. The prices are different today. Prices, in August, when the announcement came out with the rates being dropped in September, we saw price drop after price drop.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I experienced it, but it wasn't happening only to me. It was happening to everybody else in the office. So you knew it wasn't a you problem.
Yeah. And you're like, what is this? We finally waited for the rates to come down and the market's shifted a little bit with that. And, the truth is that buyers are savvy right now. They are being educated also by really high level real estate agents like yourself. So buyers know what to ask for things, but people are afraid right now.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of scarcity. Affordability has been an issue. Groceries and all the other things are going through the roof. And then here you are buying this giant investment of a home and you're afraid. But the reality is, the people that we're talking to, the people that you need to hear this is there is no mandate for your rent. Your landlord, whether it's an apartment, an individual home, they can make that go through the roof because their costs are going up as well. So when you get that letter that your rent went from $1,500 to $2,000, okay, that's a little bit like, that's a clinch my pearls shock moment because $500 is a lot to people when you have groceries and you have all these other bills that we know we don't see on your credit report. That's the truth. However, if you can get into your own home, it's very easy for me and anyone at Capital Mortgage Funding or whoever you want to use to work backwards and identify a price point that is going to work for you so you can get off that hamster wheel and you can control your own destiny and park your car in your own driveway and no longer have to worry about that payment jumping up. Because if it does go up, it's because of your property taxes, not your landlord's property taxes. And let's get you in your first house so now we can build your real estate portfolio with my girl Renee right here.
That's right. Boom, drop the mic right there.
Hey guys, we got open lines here if you want to talk to Renee or Becky or myself. 248-539-9797. Price marketing, condition. These are three very important things if you're selling a house. There's no doubt. I'm driving by the street. I'm like, that's a really good agent. Why is the house sitting for 60 days? Probably price.
The market dictates the price, and that's what people don't understand. And what Renee has hit it so many times. So anyone that's thinking about selling, if you're on the fence, give my girl a call, because it is true. Like, there's two different homes on a market. You're either the main character or you're the supporting character.
That's right.
And just because your neighbor down the street went for a higher price point, it probably was priced strategically to drive in that traffic. So if you want to start and be the highest comp, you're probably now going to be the supporting character for someone that's going to be coming on the market after you. And you have to have that strategic game plan, like she said.
Renee, let me look, just for everybody out there, let's really give a tutorial on what is a realistic, and I know it varies from neighborhood to neighborhood, market to market, but what's a realistic scenario? Is 20 days a long time on market? Is 30 days? Is 10 days? People want to know. They're driving their car to the Michigan game right now.
Okay.
Yep.
They want to know if they put their house on the market, what is a realistic expectation?
Yeah, I think as of today, we're looking at possibly a 14 to 30 day time frame on the house if they're listed at a fair market value.
Yeah.
But we're still seeing bidding wars on those that are priced a little bit lower. But you can never underprice a house, because if you underprice a house, guess what's happening to that
Multiple
house?
bids.
You're getting multiple bids.
Yeah.
I'd rather get more people.
How about that
into
strategy?
home.
Talk about that strategy.
That strategy is so awesome, and you've got to be that risk taker, right? You've got to be that poker player that's really just going to take that chance. And when I say that, it's because, and Mark Z and I, who's one of my best mentors ever, we talk about this all the time. You can never really underprice a house. If you underprice a house, all you just did is generate like a ton of showings. And then what you just did is you created so much visibility, so many eyeballs on that home, that when you get that many eyeballs, you get the offers, and the offers drive up the price, and price allows our clients to net the most amount of money. Now you're looking at the most amount of money, the least amount of hassle, and it sold in the least amount of time. So just to answer your question, that window becomes smaller with those underpriced homes. So if you're out there trying to sell your home, I highly encourage you to take that risk, because it still works. Now, you don't want to be helping another neighbor sell their home. You want to sell your home.
You're the main character
You're
energy.
the main character. I love that, Becky. I think that's exactly what we want to talk about. But that's really pricing strategy.
Alrighty, hey, a little bit of mortgage news out there. That's right, the conforming loan limit went up again. It was already really high, but now it's going to be $819,000. Look, the jumbo loans rates are just as good. Requires a little bit more paperwork sometimes. So conforming loan limits $819 now, which makes the FHA loan limit $532,350. If anyone cares, that's right. You can sell your home all different ways. When we come back, we'll give you some helpful tips. 248-539-9797. Already, we're back. 846, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. When you need a mortgage, call Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's easy. You're going to save money, deal with real professionals. They accept your offer when you work with Capital Mortgage. They, meaning the listing agent, because we call them. We give them the confidence with a real approval letter. That's right, we already got your documents. And we can guarantee a closing. It's so great when you work with the unbelievable mortgage lenders that are all out there. But there's quite a few that aren't. Becky, let's talk about a little bit of that. Yeah, if you've never experienced a refi boom, then 2 years ago, you were trying to sell a 2-1 buy down or you were paying discount points because 7.25 and 7.5 didn't sound sexy to you. So I did the math. Sure enough, Becky, it's right here. You wasted your money, folks. That's right. Loud and clear. I'm going to say it a little hardcore. Let Becky jump in here in a minute. Becky, I did all the math. Guys, it's right there. It's if you pay 2 points, your break even was like 4 years. Well, you just threw out, I don't know how much your loan amount. If it was a $400,000 loan, you probably $8,000 here. Well, they saved a little bit of money. They saved $196 a month. It only took them 61 months to break even, which is over 5 years, folks. Stop being the herd mentality. It just jams you up in the mortgage world, especially Becky, because we'll refinance all our clients. My clients that closed in the 7s, I'm calling them now. The great opportunity is now. They can get the lower rate, and they didn't have to blow $8,000 or $9,000 or $12,000.
I mean, I could probably talk for a good hour on this topic alone. But the truth of the matter is that you have to have high-level conversations with high-level loan officers when you're talking about your finances. And if you are scrounging, but if $119 is detrimental to your savings, then maybe we're a little bit too high in the budget. And that's a real conversation that you have to have with your client because there's other compensating factors that are come down the road. So if that 119 savings is so important to you, it's going out the window regardless when your taxes get reassessed. These are conversations that we're having on a regular basis. So what Harvey's saying is, you know, when we're having those conversations a year ago, we knew that the market was naturally going to slide down. When and how it was going to happen, we didn't know. However, when you're dealing with people that have over 2 decades in the business, we are educated enough to see patterns and recognize patterns. And there's always going to be a moment in your life where you're going to experience something again. Whether it's life, it's mortgages, it's rates, it's selling your house, it is going through some kind of life-altering event, you're going to be there again. So here we are in this moment where rates are sliding down and we are refinancing those clients as we said we would because we knew it was naturally going to come around to the people that were in the 7.5s this time last year because the rates have naturally come down and we're putting them in better positions.
Yeah, our goal is to always keep the money in the pockets of our clients. And you know, we want to save them money. We don't want to take the money out. There's no advantage for people to pay more money and buy down a rate.
Chasing a rate here.
Yeah, if they're chasing it, you know.
We're going to slide. We're not going to chase.
Yeah, I would tell you that
right.
If you take a higher rate, but you're going to pay less money out of your pocket, you have to do the math. Most of the time that works because in just a simple scenario, if I tell you, Renee, that if you give me $10,000, but I could save you $100 a month, do the math on the recoup period. Okay? It's going to take you 100 months to break even.
Yeah.
When you could have been doing something else with that $10,000. So what's the difference in $100 a month higher payment if your recoup period is 100 months? Let me
math it a little bit too as
well.
Don't do it. Typically for every $1,000 you put towards a mortgage, it's affecting your payment by $7,
right.
give or take, right? Because you got to understand you're stretching that over 30 years. Just like a car, it's different because it's a very short term. So when someone's like, oh, I'm going to put $10,000 on my mortgage, why is it only dropping $70? Well, okay, well now you owe less on the property and there's more equity there. So to me, that makes mathematical sense depending on the timeline that someone's going to be on the house, knowing that we're eventually going to be refinancing because we're going to let that equity naturally do the work for you, not your own assets. And like Harry said, do something else with that money. Pay off some of the credit card debt because that's really the dirty little secret that's going on behind the scenes.
At 24%, Becky?
Yeah, I mean, people will brag about the 3.5 interest rate or 3.375 interest rate that they have because I take the calls, but they've been foregoing them since they've got them because now their credit card debts are through the roof because they're not making enough money to offset some of that. They didn't reorganize their lifestyle because they overbought maybe in 2020. And these are the things that we're trying to undo behind the scenes to make sure that we're setting our clients up for success. Because again, home ownership is a net tangible asset that you can use to help reset the baseline, but don't use it for a piggy bank. It is something that can help you.
We'll move on to a different subject and bring Renee in. Let me just wrap this up. I did a $400,000 scenario sitting at my desk yesterday. If 7.25 cost you no points, so you paid no points. If you paid 3 discount points and got 6.5, which you probably got even higher, you cost you $12,000. If you had the loan for 2 years, because that's when the rates were a little higher, then you saved some money.
Everyone get your notepads out while you're driving.
47. You don't even have to.
Like
you saved $4,700. You lost $7,200. Basically, you lost 3 or 4 years worth of payments. You threw all this money away. I have never met somebody who really paid the points and really benefited from it. So that was
I know Harvey gets really passionate about that. So for our viewers that watch us on Facebook, he was doing math. You could see him live on camera doing this stuff, right? So, but Harvey, that is his passion coming through. He comes, he comes across, but because he really he doesn't like when people lose money. And that's I'm proud to sit next to this man every single day, both these gentlemen, because we genuinely really care about what you're doing. And there's a lot of people out there that make a lower rate sound super sexy. But at the end of the day, if you have to overpay for that rate, what are you doing? But you have to do the math. Math is math. There's one answer. That's what's cool about math.
Yeah, I would probably say, from the real estate aspect, all of these numbers sound amazing, and I'm going to be honest, but I'm here to help you get to the finish line. So when I think about my relationships with clients, we don't chase a rate; we chase basically a payment, and we want people to feel comfortable with the payment.
Yeah,
and we know that there's going to be equity down the road, but I'm never going to put you in a position where you're going to be, in debt over a home.
Right.
So when I ask a client, what's our budget? What are we shopping? And we haven't gotten that pre-approval yet. I leave that to the loan officers to be the experts, but it's our partnership together to share where we want to be and what we want to do with this client so we can make sure that they're comfortable and safe. But the biggest thing is people need to understand that for as long as history has been, house prices. I mean, I was just in Dallas, and Tom Ferry was actually speaking at our meeting that day, and he showed us a chart and a graph, and he went all the way down from the 1950s all the way to the present time, and I could see this entire graph going from the rock bottom price all the way to the top, and sitting today at one of the highest prices in history. Mm-hmm. And there were little dips on that graph. The little dip was called a small recovery. And every single time we've been in recovery. So the question became, are we in a recovery or are we at
6 times in our nation's history, we've been in a recovery.
Right. 6 times. And that was so little. And if I tell you, the prices continue to go up. So when I am a consumer and I'm somebody thinking I need to go out and buy a house today, and I'm not going to buy because I'm waiting for the prices to drop or I'm waiting for rates to drop, that's not going to happen. It needs to change. Your mindset has to change. And the mindset has to be, what payment am I comfortable with? Who's going to help me get there? And what price point am I going to be chasing at this moment today that's going to feel comfortable for me and my family? And that's where you need to be, because and if they say, do you think the market's going to crash? I don't know if the market's going to crash. I don't have a crystal ball. But guess what? Worst case scenario, we can just sell the home and get you in another home that's more comfortable. But we want to make sure that you're comfortable today. So, and then when you have a relationship with a loan officer like Becky, or any of the loan officers out there that you feel comfortable with, it's really important to say, how are you going to keep me informed on rates, and how often are we going to continue to refinance to make me in a position where I'm going to be able to net more money in my pocket? So it's all about navigation. It's really about who's driving it for you, who's going to be able to put you in the best position to save you that amount of money.
For sure. And what you're talking about is, and I say this often, is you want to be married to your spouse, not your house. And it is locking in the price of the home.
Right.
That is most important, because that graph, I wish I had my little thing of papers because I got it in front of me. I look at it often, 6 times in history, right? And then right after we came out of that in 2011, it was an instant, I think 19 or 11% jump in equity. So real estate is truly the long game, and the ingredients are not there. We are well qualified buyers right now. The average person has 40% equity in their home, but you have to get your foot in the door first. You have to start start somewhere. You have to have the conversation. You have to make a decision to make that choice for yourself. Do you want to get in the real estate game? Because you cannot wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment will never arrive for you.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yep.
Right.
You know, you heard that on the
music
radio
says
before. What are you
we're
waiting
almost
for?
Done here, Renee. It's the end of our show.
That's right.
Oh my God,
I've had
so
so
great.
much
You're coming
fun.
back for sure.
Can I tell you, this has been a blast.
Listen, you
Thank
can
you
come
for
back
I gotta
anytime.
tell
You are top notch.
I
Top
might
five
have to
shows for sure.
crash. I might have to crash again. I feel like I might have
love
just
it.
found my new niche.
Heck, yes.
All right, don't call those people that are reading scripts. We need open minds. Again, some of
Yes.
my clients are saying, Harvey, I want to have less money of a payment. I'm getting them to a 15-year so they own the house free and clear one day. So lots of strategies out there. Hey, thanks a lot, Renee Jadan from eXp Realty. You can find her all over the internet. And, of course, call us at Capital Mortgage Funding. We'll get you hooked up with all these great agents. I see Pat Caputo. He's outside to talk a ton of sports. For Becky Haley, for Harry Glantz, I'm Harvey Freed. See you next Saturday.